Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of the e-commerce lab by Ecomcy, the place of everything related to Amazon FBA, private label, and e-commerce. My name is Vincenzo Toscano, your host, founder and CEO of Ecomcy, and today we bring another special guest. His name is Isaac Gross, and he's the founder and CEO of EG which is one of the top agencies in the space when it comes to PPC. This guy knows his stuff. I met him in Miami. We actually have a very insightful conversation. And that's why I wanted to bring Isaac today to the show because I know he has some nice tricks, which specifically today, we're going to talk about, what are some of the latest things you can do when it comes to using PPC for launching products on Amazon. So, Isaac, it's a pleasure to have you on board, bro. How you doing?
I'm great, Vincenzo. It's a real pleasure to be here. I've seen your content for a while. We've probably interacted a lot online, but we just met at Miami for the first time, so that was great in person. And I'm really excited to be here on the podcast and, having a good conversation.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. So awesome. As I do with every episode, I think something that would be very interesting to take a few minutes is to learn more about Isaac, how you got started in the Amazon space, and how you founded your amazing agency. So yeah, tell us a little bit about the backstory. Yeah.
Sure, I'll give you the full backstory. I'll try to make it quick. So I got introduced to Amazon around 2000. Probably 2014, 2015. I don't remember the exact timeline when it comes to these 2 years. I heard of a friend that selling on Amazon. That was I would say the gold rush, like the whole Amazon private label FBA business model started then.
Mm-hmm.
I then met with that friend. I got to learn what he's doing. He showed me Alibaba. You bring in a product, from China. Then you see if it's. I think Jungle Scott wasn't even around, so I think you didn't even. It didn't have all these cool extensions where you can see is that a good product, a good opportunity. Anyway, long story short is we brought in a product from Alibaba. We bought it for between $1 and $1.50. It was a pretty cheap product. Yeah. We sold it for $20. Now, I just listed it on Amazon. Nothing fancy, nothing cool, main image, Then that was around 2 weeks before the first Prime Day,
Okay.
Then Prime Day came along. And I think we sold 14 units on that Prime Day. And I was like, whoa, 14 units. We're making
something here.
Yeah, we're making $11 profit per unit. As you say, there's something there. So that's when I sort of I did it more as I would say, to get my feet wet in the business world. I wasn't really very serious about it. So that's when I started diving into it more. I started listening to podcasts, to different YouTube videos, and I still do. So until today, I still listen to a lot of content just to make sure that I'm current and up to date. So I listened to a lot of YouTube videos, podcasts. Roy Moran, if you remember, he was one of the OGs when it comes to the space.
Yeah.
Scott Walker, these people.
Yeah, the godfathers.
Yeah, exactly, the godfathers of the Amazon private label world. And that's when we started, really diving deep into it. I did this for a few years. Again, just a few hours a day that I actually work, maybe even many weeks, less than an hour a day. And we made nice money. My wife was still working. That wasn't really my, what I did for a living. Then we brought in a new product line. We thought of some idea of making a line of duffel bags and backpacks. Mm-hmm. Long story short, we lost a few $100,000 of that. And at that time, we were like, okay, what am I doing next? Am I either starting a new brand? I didn't actually think about opening an agency. But I used to be very active in different masterminds, different groups. And I had in 1 week, a few people came over to me, 2 people, and they said, we tried 5 different agencies for PPC. We don't see the results. You know what you're doing. Do me a favor, manage my PPC. And I really did it as a favor. It didn't even take, I took a little bit of money, but it wasn't something that I really thought about doing for a living. And after 2 weeks after starting managing these accounts, I saw, whoa, we did something, that nobody else has done. We increased our sales, ACOS was good. And what I realized then is that there are many agencies, but the way how they can take on more accounts is they either have VAs, in the Philippines, different countries, where everybody follows a certain SOP, and they don't give a real VIP white glove service to their clients. So I saw the need for a more, let's call it a white glove agency, where you have US-based people
Mm-hmm.
Senior account managers that actually manage accounts. And long story short, that's when we founded the agency. That was around 2019. And right
Mm-hmm.
on the bat, the vision was to work with more established brands, larger brands, and have a senior team in-house in the office and give a service that is second to none. And long story short, we manage today over $2 billion in annual sales, and we work with many 7 to 9 figure Amazon brands. And that's still our vision. We have an in-house team that every account has a dedicated account manager. That's again in-house, a senior account manager that really gets to know you, gets to know your products,
Yeah.
competitors, and really manages the PPC very hands-on. That's in a nutshell the story.
Love it. What a story. And actually, I can resemble in part of the stories as well because the same thing happened to me. Like I jump into the space by mistake, and then by going to events and people seeing what I was doing with my products and then asking for help, that's where the agency idea came to fruition. So it's so nice to
Exactly.
see the overlap there. And at the end of the day, that's the beauty of this space. Like you can make money out of so many ways, like a seller, service provider, consulting, even everything that we saw with the aggregator space, like helping people exit, like do so many verticals, and that's the
Right.
beauty of it.
Exactly. So many
Now,
vertical. Okay, go on.
yeah, and I think at the end of the day, it's all about adapting. I think we have made so many sellers that maybe even personally have met some sellers that they didn't succeed as seller, but now they're some of the top consultants in the space. So
Correct.
about building on your strengths, so important.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, most of the softwares, I mean, Helium 10, right,
Exactly.
came out of cell had a need, and that's what Helium 10 came out of.
Yeah,
Struggle Scott, I don't know, but I think most of the softwares came out of
exactly.
actually sellers having a pain point and they needed to figure it out for themselves, and then they offer it as a service.
Exactly. Now, let's jump into PPC, which I'm sure is what all our
Good.
listeners and the ones watching are very keen to learn about. So, 2024 is basically, and we are seeing that like it's going to be a tough year for e-commerce. We're seeing fees going up, competition is more fierce than ever. Economically, worldwide, things are not as they should be. And that's where, I feel PPC is more important than ever because, small changes are going to have an incremental impact because of you pretty much most people rely now on PPC when it comes to traffic within Amazon, right?
Right.
Now, saying that, I feel like a lot of people still struggle to understand what is the right strategy when it comes to launching a product on Amazon and using PPC as part of the formula. Sometimes I'm amazed, and maybe you find the same, where people think in 2024 they can get ahead, launch a product without PPC, right? So
Exactly.
tell me a little bit about, what do you think are some of the key elements you have to consider when launching a product with PPC? Like, what are some of the foundational pillars that they must be there to be a successful launcher?
Okay, great question. So first, let's take a step back, right? PPC is basically traffic to your listing, right? We want to get targeted traffic. But before we have traffic to a listing, we need to have a good listing where we send the traffic to, right? We want the traffic that we're going to send to the listing to be able to convert, right? So how do you launch a product on Amazon? Of course, that starts with bringing in a good product, right? Bringing in a product that there's a demand for, and bringing in a product that you can compete with the market, right? You have to make sure many sellers I see fall into a few different traps. So one trap is they
Mm-hmm.
bring in a unique product that nobody else sells, and I think, wow, that's a great opportunity because nobody else sells it, right? But you have to be aware that Amazon is a platform where you need to serve a product to the need that somebody else searches for, okay? Amazon is not the right platform to introduce a new product. So if you have a new type of gadget that nobody's searching for, that's more of a TikTok product, Facebook.
Exactly.
That's not the type of product you want to start selling on Amazon. Again, unless you're driving outside traffic to TikTok and Facebook, right? So when you sell a product on Amazon, you want to make sure there's demand, people searching for it. You also want to make sure that it's not too of a saturated market. If it's very saturated and the average selling price that the product sells for is a price that if you sell that for that price, you won't be able to make any profit, don't bring in that product, okay?
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
need to bring in a product that if you're going to sell it at the market price, you'll make money, you'll make profit. So now once you have the product, the number one thing is to make sure that you have a beautiful listing, okay? What I see with the most successful sellers is that they have a killer main image. They're obsessed with their main image. So use tools like Pickthrough and Televi to make sure to split test your main image to have the best main image possible. Now, of course,
Exactly.
you need to have good title bullet points. And again, the images is for the customer to make sure that it converts well. The title bullet points is number one for the customer, but even more importantly, it's for the Amazon algorithm, right? You want to explain to the Amazon machine, the Amazon algorithm, the Amazon brain, what is this product that I'm selling? And
Hmm.
Amazon takes the main information from the title, bullet points, backend keywords, and in the subcategory that you're in. So number one, make sure to have, again, beautiful images, title, well-optimized title, bullet points with the right keywords. And we'll get to how we choose keywords and make sure that it's in the right browsing node, in the right subcategory, okay? So now that we have a listing that we hope it will convert. Now, there's one very important factor, okay? When you launch a product, even if you have a nice listing, the nice title, the nice bullet points, usually the competitors also have a nice listing, right? Maybe yours is a little bit nicer, but they
Yeah.
have thousands of reviews. You want to come in with no reviews, okay? So you want to make sure to incentivize customers that when they search a product, that will buy your product, which has no reviews or little reviews, versus competitors that have a lot of reviews, right? So what is the main lever you can pull in order to have a great conversion rate right off the bat? That is price. You need to make sure that you have a better price than your competitor. So let's say I have a pen on my hand. So let's say
Yeah.
you want to sell a pen, right? Let's say the market price for a pack of 100 is $10.
Yeah.
You try to come in at $8. In the beginning, you
Mm.
need to break even or even lose money on price in order to get your orders, to get the traction, to get the momentum. Again,
Yeah.
because think about yourself as a customer, right? You're searching for a pen. You
Hmm.
see a lot of listings that have hundreds of reviews, thousands of reviews, tens of thousands of reviews. Let me see one listing that has, again, either no reviews or a few reviews, right? Why should you
Yeah.
buy that listing? It's a little bit nicer, the image, okay, but that's usually not enough reason to convince
Exactly.
many people to buy your listing. But if they see,
Yeah.
oh, look, this product's cheaper than all the others, they're like, you know what?
Hmm.
Amazon offers free returns. Let me take the risk. Let me buy this product. It's cheaper. Let me buy it and let me see if it's, if it's not good, worst case, I'll return it. And that's one of the most important factors when launching a product. You need
Yeah.
to have, in the honeymoon phase, you need to show Amazon that this product will convert well. You want to make sure that you
Exactly.
have a great conversion rate with a cheap price, cheaper than the competitor. Okay.
Mm.
Now that we
Yeah.
have a listing that is main image, one optimized title, bullet points, a good price, here's where the PPC comes in. Okay.
Yeah.
So the first thing is you'll do keyword research, right? So let's talk about keyword research for a minute. I'm a big fan of using first-party data, which means
Okay.
using Helium 10 product opportunity explorer for keyword research. Okay,
Hmm.
so I meant brand analytics. So Helium 10 is
Analytics.
right.
Yeah.
Helium 10 is a great tool. We also use it sometimes, but the main tools that we usually use is brand analytics.
Data coming from Amazon, straight from Amazon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's data coming from Amazon itself. Now, don't get me wrong, Helium 10 is a great tool, and it has its use cases. But if you can get enough data from brand analytics, stick with that. Now,
Hmm.
so the number one thing you do is you identify your main competitors. So let's say you're selling a pen. You want to see who are my main competitors. Okay. You take these ASINs and you do a reverse ASIN. You basically put these ASINs into brand analytics, and Amazon will tell you what are the main keywords that drive at least clicks and sales to these products. Okay, so Amazon tells
Yeah.
you all the keywords that this product is the top three clicked ASIN for. Okay, so now you have all those keywords. So the way how we like to break it down is you want to have your main keywords.
Yeah.
So usually, but also main keyword is considered anything that has a search frequency rank of less than 100,000. Okay, we
Okay.
want to make sure that we go very aggressive on your top keywords.
Yeah.
For most Amazon products, 80% or 70% of your sales will come from the top 10 to 15 keywords.
Yeah.
And these are the keywords that if you rank on them on the first page, you'll have sales. And if you
Yeah.
don't rank on those keywords, you won't have sales. Okay.
That's actually a good point because I feel the huge mistake people do, and I bet you have seen this all the time. They launch the product and they have 300 keywords, like they target every single thing that Helium 10 brand analytics throw at them, and the reality is that we know, like, but 80% come from a bunch of keywords,
Right.
as you said, 10, 20 keywords. So I guess, I'm sorry for actually interrupt. I just want to make that point. I guess what is also very important is the relevancy of these keywords, right? It's not only the search volume, right? How related is to your features and everything. Yeah.
Exactly, and we'll get to
Yeah.
that. So that's a great point. So I want to get back to that. Like you mentioned, all the 300 keywords. So we usually also advertise on all the long tail keywords. But the top keywords is where we put them into what we call a ranking campaign. Okay. So let's say
Nice.
we identify the top 10 keywords. We'll put them into an exact campaign, exact
Nice.
only, and we'll increase the top of search placement by 100% or sometimes more, right?
Yeah.
How do you rank organically on a keyword, right? What's the simple logic? If Amazon sees that you convert well through PPC on a certain keyword, so let's say somebody's putting in ball pens, they click on your listing, you have a conversion rate of 10%. Amazon sees, oh, look at this. There's a new listing. They have a conversion rate of 10%, 50%. Let's assume that's a good conversion rate for that market. Amazon will see, okay, if they convert well through PPC, let me start bringing them up organically, right? So you want to make sure that you have the best conversion rate possible for those keywords. Now, top of search has proven to usually have 2 or 3 times as good of a conversion rate than the other placement. So you want to make sure that you win as much top of search as you can, right?
Yeah.
Even if your ACOS will be high because the cost per click is usually higher on top of search. So we, in the ranking campaign, we won't care anything about ACOS. We only care about conversion. We want to make sure you have your main keywords show up on top of search. So that's why we take these top keywords and we put them into a separate campaign, exact only, because we want to get as many clicks and orders possible for those keywords.
Nice.
Okay?
Actually, a question on this campaign, because I'm sure people are going to ask these 2 specific questions. How long usually you run this campaign for? And I'm sure they're also going to ask this within the campaign itself. Do you recommend using any kind of bidding, like down only, up and down, fixed? What do you recommend?
Okay, great question. So first of all, on how long we should run this campaign, it's a great question. We'll come to that, which basically the question is, how long is considered the launch phase, right? When can we go out of the launch phase? And we'll get to that question. But to the second question, some people start do fixed bids when they start out. We usually go with dynamic bids down only. We start with that and we increase top of search. If we have any issue with getting impressions, we might change the bidding strategy. But we also always start with dynamic bids down only, and we increase top of search, and we usually don't have any problem getting the impressions and the clicks that we want.
Good.
Okay.
And in this one as well, do you recommend doing segmentation? Like, because I'm sure you also hear this all the time, like people say you shouldn't put more than 3-5 keywords per campaign. You should segment it by search volume. Like, what is your take on that as well?
Okay, great question. So again, first for these ranking keywords, we usually put 5 to 10 keywords in one campaign, and then if we have any issues, for example, we'll see one keyword really taking
dominating
all the spending, right, or the opposite. We have a certain keyword that doesn't get any impressions. We want to put it into a separate campaign. That's when we'll do a single keyword campaign. But usually we'll put up to again 10 keywords, even sometimes 15 keywords. But if we see any issues with that, then we'll take it out and we'll segment it into a separate campaign. Now, to your previous point before, that your main keywords, you want to make sure that it's not only high search volume, but it's also 2 things. Number 1, relevant. Number 2, it's a keyword that has a strong buying intent. So let me explain. So let's say a good example will be pen, right? There's so many different pens that somebody could search for. So let's say when you put in Amazon pen, it might be that there's no real product that the customer knows exactly what they're looking for. So let me explain. So if somebody, let's say, puts in a black pen bulb, right?
Yeah.
That's definitely a product that's very relevant to your product. If you're selling a pen like this, 100 pens. Yeah. But if they put in pen, it's not a real buying intent keyword. The customer puts in pen and then they will start searching a lot of different products and see which one they will buy. So usually a rule of thumb that we have is we want that the keyword that you're targeting should have in brand analytics, the conversion share of the top 3 combined should be at least 30%. Okay, that means that the top 3 click ASINs get at least 30% of the purchases. That usually means that, at least 30% of the people buy the top 3 products. Which means it's a high buying intent product. But for example, when somebody lets them search Christmas gift, right? You won't have any listing that will have a decent conversion rate on that.
It's a huge spread.
It's a huge spread, exactly. So on those keywords, it's really hard to rank organically. So you want to make sure the conversion share for that keyword is at least 30% between the top three. Okay, that's one thing. And number two, we want to make sure that these top three ASINs are actually relevant to your product. So let me give you another example. I have a cup over here, right? So let's say the word cup has really high search volume, okay?
Yeah.
But let's say you're selling a paper cup, right? But you see that for paper cup, that when somebody searches cup, the first ASIN, the first clicked ASIN is, let's say, a plastic cup. The second clicked ASIN is maybe this Stanley mug, okay, some cup. And the third is maybe a paper cup. So even for the word cup, it has a high search volume, and the conversion share is maybe 30% between all three combined. But the actual the products that have the conversion share is not actually the products that's relevant to your product, right? Because it's a different product. So you might go very aggressive on cup, but you will not convert well just because a big percent of the shoppers are not even looking for the type of product that you're selling. So as a rule of thumb, we like to see the top, at least two of the three-click products should be the product that you're selling. So in our example, if we're selling a paper cup, we want that for the keyword cup, if the two of the top three-click ASINs, if they're actually paper cup, then we'll go very aggressive with this keyword. We'll use it in the ranking campaign. But if that's not the case, then we'll usually stay away. Again, depending on how aggressive the seller wants to be, but we'll usually stay away. So you have to make sure that you're not only choosing keywords that have a high search volume, you're also choosing, number one, keywords that have a strong buying intent, and number two is keywords that are very relevant to your product, and the customers searching for that keyword are actually looking for the type of product that you're selling. Okay, now we have the ranking keywords, and that's where most of the spend, most of the budget allocation will go to. Right. Then we take all the other keywords, the long tail keywords. They will create a manual campaign, broad, phrase, and exact campaign. Again, we want to make sure that we target all of the keywords, and whenever any search term, any customer searches, we want to make sure that we're there. Then we'll usually create an automatic campaign and an ASIN targeting campaign. We won't go too aggressive on auto campaign, especially not at launch, because Amazon doesn't exactly know what the product is. They might go, really broad. So we have the ranking campaign, which is again your top ranking keywords. I call it the make it or break it keywords. These keywords, if you rank organically, you'll have a successful launch. Then we have all the other long tail keywords into broad, phrase, and exact campaign, ASIN targeting, and auto campaign. And again, usually we'll put a big chunk of the budget that they should go towards your top keywords, the ranking keywords. That's in a nutshell what our strategy is. Now, just one very important thing. We usually also take those top ranking keywords, we train them in Helium 10, right? We want to make sure that we start to rank organically in those keywords, right? And we monitor very closely the organic ranking while we go aggressive on these keywords. And if we see that a certain keyword gets momentum, we'll double down. If we see a certain keyword gets no movement, we'll also try to double down and see, why don't we get any movement? Maybe we should go more aggressive. And we basically play around with this, and we make decisions based on how the organic ranking is performing. That's how we adjust our ranking campaigns.
Very nice. Very good strategy, and actually aligned to similar to what we do. And on top of that, actually, what I wanted to add to this is that what we have found is that sometimes people, what they also struggle on top of the strategy is actually understanding what the KPIs they should be at certain stages during this launch, because sometimes people don't know if being 100% ACOS is normal, 200%, 50%, etc. And so all the different things that they might need to measure to actually understand how they're progressing besides the organic ranking. So I guess my question to you is, do you feel during the launch phase, the real metric everybody should focus only is organic ranking, or you feel that also certain KPIs besides that are also important to keep an eye, besides, how you're getting ranked?
Okay, so it really depends what you go with. So for example, I have certain clients that launch certain products and they want to be profitable right over the bat. They have either, let's say, unique products or expensive products, right? So it's hard to give a general rule. But let's talk, in our case, I think we're talking about the typical Amazon product seller. They launch a product, they want to rank organically, they're willing to lose money in the beginning, right? So I believe the main KPI should be, number one, organic ranking, number two, conversion. You want to make sure that you have a decent conversion. So let's say if you're selling a product let's say it's a $10 or $20 product, right? If your conversion is 2 or 3%,
Yeah,
like you need to figure out right off the bat. Like I can see right off the bat if this launch will be successful, and if we see that the conversion rate is very low. Now, again, of course, we expect a low conversion rate lower to the market, right?
exactly.
We have no reviews, but if we see that it's very, very low, that's where we'll get concerned. So you mentioned ACOS. Really, I wouldn't be concerned about ACOS, even if it's 200%. It doesn't matter what the ACOS is. If I see
The conversion.
conversion, I
Yeah,
know that this can be successful. If I
yeah,
don't see any conversion, that's where we'll need to start shifting strategy and see, okay, what can we do to improve conversion because this launch is not going to go too well.
nice. And now during this launch phase, we know that most of the time it goes aligned during the honeymoon period. But from your experience, do you think realistically, after doing this hundreds of times for your clients, like have you identified like what is the timeline usually for this? Are we talking 1 month, talking 2 months? I know it's gonna depend also on the product, but what is on average, what a launch phase is gonna last for? Yeah,
So if you're asking how long the honeymoon period is, I believe nobody knows, right? And it's
exactly.
probably
It's yeah, yeah,
not so black and white. The idea is right off the bat, you need to have momentum. And usually once you have momentum and the momentum keeps on going, then you're in a good position. But to your product, how long is it considered a long phase, right? And let me also basically rephrase the question, right? How long do I still need to spend that aggressively? How
exactly.
long do I still need to have an ACOS of 200%? When can I
Mhm.
start slowing down, right? All these questions. So I have two main pointers that I look at. Number one is if your product is like, let's say you launch a product, you have a goal, like you want to have a BSR, a bestseller rank of let's say 2,000, or even let's say
Mhm.
5,000, right? If you're constantly moving towards that goal, you have the momentum, and your BSR goes from again from 100,000, it's 50,000, then it's already 40,000, 30. You keep on moving towards your goal. You have the momentum,
Yeah,
and around 50% of your sales already come from organic. That's when I say, okay, we can start to pull back a little bit
nice.
and we can start, focusing a little bit more on ACOS, on profit, on tacos,
Mhm.
and not spend that much. Okay. But if let's say your goal was to hit a 5,000 DSR and you're
Yeah,
still at 70, 80,000,
long way to go.
exactly. I have a long way to go, and you still need to give as much gas as possible, go aggressive with PPC to reach that goal. Or let's say you're reaching the goal, but 90% of your sales still come from PPC. That's also another time to start taking PPC away because you'll lose the momentum. So that's
Exactly.
again, it's not so black and white, but the benchmark that we have, number one, you're getting closer to your goal. You have the momentum going that keeps on becoming better and better. And 50% of your sales already come from organic. That's when you can say, okay, let's start pulling back a little bit on the PPC.
That's that's awesome, Isaac. So it's been such an amazing, episode, and you line everything so easily. I'm sure that people are gonna find it so, actionable, like going the type of campaigns that you mentioned. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. And I would say, like, to finish off, like, is there any other maybe tip or maybe mistake you would advise people to avoid when doing the launch phase that you would like to share before we conclude during the launch
So
phase?
one of them is, yeah, so one of the mistakes that I see is people get afraid too quickly.
Mm,
They see that, okay, my egos are so high, my tacos are so high, let me start moving back. Let me start pulling back. Um, Again, it used to be easier to rank organically on Amazon. It's
yeah,
definitely harder today. Okay, so it definitely takes more time to start ranking organically. So again, if you see that your launch goes in the right direction, you're converting, your organic ranking starts to become better. Your BSR starts to become better. Don't make the mistake and fall for the short-term profit and start, pulling the plug. Make sure you do it in a very smart and calculated way.
thank you. That's amazing tip. Very good closure. So now, in case I'm sure some people might want to reach out, so you can have them during this launch phase of PPC or related. So how people can find you? Yeah.
Sure. So people can find me on my website,
Hmm.
igppc.com.
Nice.
They can email me, Isaac, ISAAC, at igppc.com. They can also
Good.
find me on LinkedIn. I post a lot of Amazon PPC content.
Yeah, for sure.
I try to be very active there. So make sure to follow me. And then I have a special offer for your audience. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we do really, really nice, comprehensive audits on your PPC, and it's completely free. There's no obligation to sign up with us. We're going to charge for that. So for anyone that wants to see how their PPC is performing, wants to get free insights, just go to our website and reach out to me for a free audit, and we'll send you a really nice, detailed, comprehensive audit on your PPC with actionable insights.
Thank you, Isaac. So that's amazing. I'm gonna make sure to put all the listeners and the ones watching the link down in the description. And in the
Awesome.
meantime, I appreciate your time and looking forward to see you soon at Prosper. So looking
Yes,
forward to that, man.
likewise.
My
Thank you so
pleasure.
much.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure.
Take care, bro. Bye.